Doctor Who just revealed this season's big villain. The god of all gods, aka Sutekh, has appeared around the Tardis and is preparing to wreak chaos on the universe. It seems from glimpses of the upcoming episode, Empire of Death, that Sutekh is going to be a tough villain for the Doctor and his friends to take down. But if you're new to Doctor Who, you might not know who this villain is. While The Legend of Ruby Sunny does a great job in teasing the one who waits and setting up his eventual reveal, it's not told us much about his backstory at the moment. Most of that lies in the classic series of Doctor Who, notably the serial Pyramids of Mars, in which the 4th Doctor and companion Sarah Jane Smith encountered Sutekh almost 50 years ago. So in this episode of Doctor Who Explained, we look at Sutekh, the god of all gods. Greetings everyone, I'm Jack and welcome to Tardis Central. If you want to keep up to date on all the latest Doctor Who news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Tardis Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Doctor Who universe. But as always, please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below, because if you're talking about Doctor Who, then we want to hear about it. Sutekh was introduced in 1975's Pyramid of Mars from the show's 13th original season. He was created by Louis Griefer, with format assistant from the script editor Robert Holmes, although the story was credited to Stephen Harris, a nickname. The story sees Sutekh being kept prisoner in a tomb in Egypt, desperately trying to free himself. In order to do that, his servants must destroy a jewel in a pyramid on Mars. Totally normal stuff. You see, according to the historical record, Sutekh was cornered by Horus and 740 Osirians, defeating him. In reality, he was entombed for some 7,000 years in Egypt, with the Eye of Horus on Mars suppressing his powers. By the modern day, Sutekh was believed to be the last of the Osirians, where he still had followers and loyalists through the cosmos. That was until 1911, when Professor Marcus Scarman excavated the chamber in which he was imprisoned. Scarman found Sutekh, who used Scarman's corpse to try and destroy the Eye of Horus. To do this, he planned to use Scarman and some Osirian robots to create a missile to destroy the Eye. However, as soon as the tomb was opened, a jackal-like face appeared to Sarah Jane Smith and the 4th Doctor in the TARDIS. They traced his energy back to the source, arriving at Scarman's house, which is an old priory and the future site of Unit HQ. With the help of Scarman's brother Lawrence and his macronoscope, they're clued into Sutekh's presence. It's almost at this moment that Ibrahim Naim greets Sutekh's servant, who kills him in one of the most iconic cliffhangers of the original series. The Doctor and Sarah interrupt the rocket assembly, laying explosives undetected. However, when shot by Sarah, the explosion falls back in on itself. Sutekh himself is powerful enough to hold it back with his mind alone. To disrupt the connection, the Doctor travels to Sutekh's prison, succeeding but being paralysed by Sutekh's mental powers. Yet again, another iconic cliffhanger in the same serial. Phenomenal work here. With a plan to blow up the Eye gone, Sutekh then sends Scarman to Mars to destroy it manually. The Doctor's following closely behind, finding a long corridor divided into chambers. It's all very simple for a first timer into Dungeons and Dragons puzzles, and well-known riddles to spot the difference. The showdown on Mars ends with Scarman destroying the Eye. He then briefly celebrates his freedom from Sutekh's possession before crumbling into a pile of dust. With the Eye gone, the Doctor has one last chance to stop the evil of all evils from being unleashed. Rushing back to the TARDIS, the Doctor extends the mouth of a portal that Sutekh was using to transport to Earth. This launches him into the far future, which takes him 7,000 years to reach. Effectively, he's trapped in a vortex for all of eternity, never to bother the Doctor again, or so he thought. The story of Sutekh's escape from the void has been told in Titan's Comics' 10th Doctor series, specifically the Older Girl story from the end of Year 2. It turns out that instead of drifting through a time vortex for all of eternity, he stepped sideways at the last possible moment. This left him maintained perfectly, alive, unaging, but totally unable to move from his bubble, trapped in a state of limbo in the void. It's here that he strikes up an alliance with other horrors banished outside the universe. Although he was a native of the universe and therefore was more tethered into it than other horrors like King Nocturne, the Destroyer, a dragon, and the gods of Ragnarok. To escape, a fragment of his mind had been placed in the biodata of his son, Anubis. This put in motion a plan to free Sutekh and help him recover his original body. After escaping, he hunted down some of these horrors, destroying them or giving him the mercy of being thrown back into the void. However, Sutekh wasn't alone on the Osirian mothership, the Shining Horizon, which has a serious Stargate vibe by the way. The Doctor was ready to reverse dimensional conduits and throw Sutekh back into the void. Alas, anticipating this move, Sutekh redirected the energy towards himself and his physical body was rejuvenated and reborn. With Sutekh back at full power, power, the Doctor leaned on the other released gods for help, bargaining with them that Sutekh had already betrayed some of the others. They turned on Sutekh, with him battling them before turning his attention to the Doctor. It was actually Dorothy Bell, the mortal incarnation of the Hand of Sutekh, who used her abilities to partially merge with him and pull him back into the void. Surely destroyed permanently now, right? Alas, again, it turns out that this was only the body of Sutekh that was defeated by the Doctor. This was told in the Triumph of Sutekh box set from Big Finish. It was the New Adventures of Buddy's Summerfield range. His consciousness found a way into a body created in a siren loom. Yeah, that's right, not just the Time Lords that do looms. Fellow loom truthers, where are we at? Comment down below. I'm serious, make sure to do it. Anyway, Sutekh escapes to Mars, travelling back in time to usurp his mother's throne and unleash a reign of terror as the head of his sirens. By the early 21st century, the world was destroyed, with Sutekh going across the earth and devouring everything in his wake. As all polite gods do, he left his worshippers for last. Although he was still set to kill them, it was a gift of death for all humanity after all. However, the 7th Doctor was able to trick Sutekh into going back in time and starting all over again, creating a time loop. The 7th Doctor and his time tricks. Although trapping a god like Sutekh in an Ouroboros feels like a good preventive measure, predictably, Sutekh once again found a way out, going on to battle the Doctor in one more documented occasion. From Sutekh's perspective, this story takes place after the events of the Triumph of Sutekh box set. This is the two-parter, Kill the Doctor and The Age of Sutekh, from Big Finish's 4th Doctor's Adventures range. Here Sutekh again encounters the 4th Doctor, this time travelling with Leela. On the planet of Drummond, Sutekh was using a website, Weenie.net, really weird, to control the populace. Using tech moguls to control the populace, where have we seen this before? Hang on a minute, it's very recent. Anyway, Sutekh's out there telling the people of Drummond to kill the Doctor, whilst building the planet into a new home for the Sirens. Obviously the Doctor defeats him again, and here we go to the next story. As a heads up by the way, we'll be putting the notes and names of these stories on screen if we can find their cover art, along with the titles, so if you do want to go and enjoy them, then of course you can do, as you'll get more information on who Sutekh is in the latest Doctor Who episodes. You may remember that I mentioned the historical records of some 740 Sirens cornering Sutekh on the command of Horus. After all, that's what was repeated in the official records and the mythological legends back on Earth. However, it'd be silly for me to not mention the long and epic audio series, The True History of the Faction Paradox, from Magic Bullet Productions, written by Faction Paradox creator Lawrence Miles. The story chronicles Sutekh's earlier career before his imprisonment, with a sci-fi twist. It's a genius way of covering stories of the Egyptian pantheon. It's Sutekh versus Horus for the Siren throne. At least that's where it all starts. Faction Paradox feels like a whole other topic that would be too silly to get into in this video. It's something that's best saved for another day, although well worth delving into later. Although the disguises and time tricks and war and espionage are phenomenal, not to mention the ship of 1 billion years as a home of the Siren Core. So much cool stuff that is well worth listening to, especially for fans of Egyptian mythology. It's something of an overlooked gem in the depths of the Whoniverse, but we'd recommend it. Needless to say, the story of Sutekh being cornered on Earth by Horus' forces isn't exactly what happened. There was a duel on Mars that rocked the temple foundations of existence. Saying against who, why, or the full end result would be a disservice to anyone wanting to check out the series we just mentioned. Needless to say, Sutekh ends up in a tomb on Egypt, leading into the imprisonment he's trying to free himself in his debut TV story. It's a nice little prequel, but sort of expands the story in a nice way. Just what showrunner Ross T. Davies has in mind for Sutekh's return in Empire of Death and The Legend of Ruby Sunday is a bit of a mystery. While Sutekh's escape from the time space tunnel has been covered and his battle with the Doctor a few more times, it's likely the series is going to ignore these. Maybe that tunnel forced him out of the universe and that's why he needed to be brought back into proper existence, along with the rest of the Pantheon of Discord when the Doctor cast a superstition at the end of the universe. The return of Sutekh was telegraphed back during the Giggle, where the Toymaker revealed that he ran and hid from a force he called the One Who Waits. Although he refused to elaborate when the 14th Doctor asked, saying it was somebody else's game. We know that now this is presumably the 15th Doctor's game. It also implies that members of the Pantheon don't necessarily get along, although the Toymaker is at least closer to Maestro, who avenged his defeat during the Devil's Court earlier in the season. At the end of that episode, Maestro teased the One Who Waits is almost here, again not hinting his identity. Finally, at the end of last week's The Legend of Ruby Sunday, the One Who Waits is waiting no more. Sutekh revealed himself as the ultimate god of all gods. He's got his heart set on taking over the universe, bringing his gift of death to all humanity. But questions still abound. Is there a cult of Sutekh worshippers around? Is there something more sinister within Susan Tryer's technology? Are we going to retcon more expanded media stories or pay some homage? We'll just have to wait until the final to find out. Okay everyone, that's the story of Sutekh, perhaps the most powerful villain in the Doctor Who universe. Sorry Daleks. Now you've all caught up one of my most personal favourite villains, and you're ready for the season final next week, which looks set to see what I did there, to be an absolutely epic final. Sutekh is unleashed on the universe, nobody's safe, and the fate of the universe hinges on one woman. Can the Doctor defeat him? And how do you possibly find a greater threat to one-up this with next season's final? Guess we're just gonna have to wait to find out. If you want to keep up to date on all the latest Doctor Who news, lore, and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Tardis Central. You can follow us on social media for daily updates on the Doctor Who universe, but for now, that's it from Tardis Central. I've been Jack, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later this week with the Empire of Death.